super excited about what they bring to the table. They've got an elite skill set. Charles has both a size. He's got great mass, explosiveness. He's probably one of the most explosive players on the team. You know, one of the first couple of days he got here, he was doing some plyometrics with Joe and just jumped out of the roof. It was just unbelievable. So excited about what he's done. He made a couple of plays today, matter of fact, and he's already integrated himself pretty quick into the offense. And then Zeke, kind of the same thing. He's got elite level speed, so he can really bring a dynamic skill set to us, you know, on the edge.
Just to follow up, how important could those guys and then Cam be to get your passing game where you're trying to go?
I think it's important. I mean, we're forcing the issue. Those guys are getting plenty of reps. We're being very conscientious to have a fluid rotation. So Coach has done a fantastic job with setting up the scheduling. The last 3 days, we've only gotten to basically 2 installs. So we've really tried to create the foundation of the offense, particularly for all the new guys coming in. So they got, you know, once we really start building the next few days, they have a foundation of what we're really trying to get done.
How you doing, Glenn? Hart, Devil's Digest. I know it's always a tightrope when you go into preseason camp and you have a quarterback battle, because at some point of camp you have to say, okay, QB1, QB2 are going to get just more reps than the others. Based on your experience, or maybe you're tailoring your approach to this year's personnel, what point of camp we're going to see maybe that clear definition, if you will, of QB1, QB2 getting more reps than the other guys?
Yeah, hopefully that comes a little sooner than later. You know, in the spring, obviously, you had some luxury of, you know, expanding it out, not making a quick decision. But I think you have to be over-conscientious as a coach as far as scripting. You know, hey, I want these guys to get these certain reps, maybe whether it be a scheme or number of reps with the ones, with the twos. So we're overly conscientious of the guys that we have in there with certain scheme to try to accelerate that process. So hopefully sooner than later we can make those decisions.
Coach Anthony Totri, PHNX. I'm curious if there's anybody just stepping up in terms of a leadership role the first couple days of camp.
I tell you, I've been impressed with Joey Ramos. He's played, I think, 3 positions up to this point. He played some center today. He's been fantastic. You know, he's only been here a couple of weeks, few months, maybe for some of the summer, but I've been really impressed with him. He's been detailed, conscientious, learning the system. To be able to play 3 different positions at the offensive line says a lot for him and what he's been able to accomplish in the short amount of time he's been here. So excited about what he's doing. And to his credit, I mean, there's been no ego involved. He's not saying, oh, Coach, you got me playing these all positions. He's like, hey, you need me at center, I'll do it. You need me at guard, I'll do it. So hats off to him for that.
Coach Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. I was catching up with Messiah earlier in the week, and he mentioned that he's been doing a lot of kind of one-on-one time with you, and you've been showing him film of Tony Gonzalez. What can you tell us about, you know, those interactions, and also what are you hoping that Messiah can take from Tony's game and try to implement it into his own?
Well, when you have a skill set like him, which is obviously unique, there's not many folks that have what he can bring to the table. That's part of our job to utilize that. And to his credit, he's been, you know, open arms, trying to learn. Obviously, Tony's the best in the world to ever do it. So to learn from him, to see to him, to try to mirror his game has been kind of cool. And, you know, we're running some of the same scheme and some of the same routes, trying to utilize him in different ways. So it's been fun to do that. It's been fun from a creativity standpoint, from a coach's end, that it's just not, hey, you're just in this spot. Moving him around, utilizing both in the run game and the pass game. So it's been fun, and we expect big things from him.
So Glenn, I know that the transfer portal is really a novel element in college football. Do you notice this year just the makeup of the offense being much different because of the transfer portal? Because on the one hand, a good number of newcomers, but on the other hand, those newcomers really come with a lot of been there, done that aspect under their belt.
Yeah, I think we've really reaped a lot of benefits from that perspective. Like you said, they have experience, they have a foundation under their belt, and they have an urgency, right? They're coming here to win. They're coming here to be an impact on this team, not only on the field but in the locker room. So you see that proactive personality. You see that urgency to let's make this thing happen. Let's not do it tomorrow. Let's do it right now. I'm coming here to do good things here. So I think that's really helped us not only offensively but as a team.
Hey, Coach. In talking to Case Hatch earlier, he said that he's really working on his route running, pass catching. Can you kind of address what progress he's made in that regard?
I think he's, in a lot of ways, he's a pleasure to be around. As you guys know, he's got a great personality. He's super open. He's got great energy about him. And yes, he wants to improve his game. He understands he brings a lot to the table from a physical standpoint. But now the more that you can open it up with him as far as pass catching, running the ball, right? We can hand it off to him. That helps you because, all of a sudden he's in there and the defense thinks, oh, well, they're running the ball, and now you're throwing it to him. That creates another element that could be pretty special. So I'm really impressed with what he brings to the table, not only on the field, but just his personality and energy off the field.
Glenn, Julia Lopez here from 3TV, CBS 5. You said it's important to name a starting quarterback. Just what is the difference between a QB1 and a QB2? The biggest difference between the two?
I don't know if there's just one big difference. There could be leadership. There could be obviously physical production, which is probably, if you could put both, ideally you would like to have both. Obviously physical production, efficiency, consistency on the field, and then the impact or leadership in the room. That's probably the ideal setting, but I wouldn't say just there's one particular thing. At the end of the day, who's going to put us in a position to win games, to move the ball, that's going to be the guy that's going to be out there.
Hey, Coach. Brad Denny, 3TV, CBS 5. Obviously, you have X and Daniel kind of at the leading that backfield, but a guy like George Hart, what have you seen from him coming into this year, another year under his belt? And also, what kind of role do you envision him kind of carving out?
I think he could definitely have an impact. To his credit, he earned a scholarship this spring. This speaks to what he brings to the table. Again, another guy with great personality, very conscientious, really trying to learn. And he takes advantage of when he's in there. He's really doing a good job. Obviously, he's a bigger back, so he's running hard to tackle. When he's not in there, you can tell he's over there. He's getting mental reps. He's really focused in on what's going on. So I would be very surprised if he's not in there. He's going to make positive contribution.
Coach, Matt Venezia, HouseOfSparky.com. With the amount of transfer players coming in this fall, and this is the first few days that everyone's been all together, the relationships and bonds you've seen out there and chemistry, have you seen that progress has been made up to when they first got here, and what do you make of that?
I've been really, really impressed. Obviously, we're in unprecedented times as far as the newness of a roster per year, so it's hard to compare maybe how it was last year versus this year. So this is kind of the infant stages of that. But I think probably Joe in the weight room could speak to it more, what the transformation he's seen in the weight room. I mean, those guys have really, collectively come together. And, obviously if you have the same goal and everybody's fighting in the same direction, we're in good shape. So I think we're in a good place like that, and look forward to building on that moving forward.
Glenn, in light of the fact that this was one of the most penalized offenses last year, but you're new, quarterback's new, center's different, do you do anything differently than you might otherwise do in terms of installing and getting your program, your programming, everything in place? Or is it kind of just the same as you've always done?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same as what you've always done, but it's a point of emphasis for sure. Like we're 2 or 3, 4 practices in, we hadn't had a false start yet. So things like that, we'll congratulate and acknowledge successes, and then obviously if we're not getting it done, then we have to, talk about it, show it, give demonstration or illustrations on the video, whether it be pictures, whatever, right? So we put it out in the forefront, talk about it, and then hopefully we see the performance on the field. But I think we're definitely heading in the right direction. They're getting it both offensively. Coach Herm's talking about it on the team. We have officials out there every day, so it's being addressed aggressively, and we're seeing improvement that way.
What are there any sort of tendencies or commonalities from why teams have a lot of procedural, pre-snap type penalties getting lined up, things being communicated across from the quarterback to everybody else or from the sidelines or whatever?
Yeah, I don't think there's probably one symptom. I think there's probably a lot. Probably the main culprit would be just the overanalyzation and thinking too much, and or the inconsistency of the quarterback with cadence or something like that, right? Or a check or a shift or a motion or something, something, right? And now all of a sudden you're kind of antsy and you're ready to go, and you just flinch just a little bit. So the more that we can create black and white consistency, maybe within the cadence from quarterback to quarterback, from personnel grouping, whatever the case may be, that creates more of a routine, and you have more confidence when the ball is snapped that you're off and running.
Coach Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. I know timelines can be tricky and it's very early, but where do you feel like this quarterback competition, what stage is it in currently?
I'm excited just in general of where all of them are at, to be quite honest. I think they're really supportive of each other. We've been very fluid in the rotation like we've talked about. They've been all on top of it when they're in there, you know, because it's hard. It's hard as a quarterback when you're in there 3 plays and you don't get in there for 9 more plays, you know. So it's hard. You really got to be locked in, and most of those guys staying behind and trying to get mental reps as it's happening. So I'm pleased with where they're at that way. Like you say, sooner than later, we'll have to scale back and really nail it down. But I think they're all 3, 4, 5. I think we're all in a good place that way as far as where we're at from an installation standpoint. Now, as the reps start piling up, we have to separate it out.
Hey, Coach, Andre Johnson, you know, a guy who's been around the program now a number of years, a local kid himself. As the wide receivers try to, sort themselves out, what kind of role do you see him carve out?
He's been a pleasure. I've heard great things from him this summer. You know, they've done player-led 7-on-7s, and a bunch of times I hear his name. You know, the quarterback's like, I really like this guy. He's making plays. He's catching 50-50 balls. He has length, athleticism, has some mass. He's strong. So I anticipate him being a big factor for us in a lot of ways. You know, as far as matching up one-on-one, he's big enough and long enough to catch it over the middle. So I'm excited about where he's coming. He's not a big vocal guy. He's just kind of come to business, come to work every day. So I like being around him, and we're definitely going to give him ample opportunity.